over here and get our Tiki Head DJ for an hour, Mr. Bill Hurley in the house. Good morning to you, the Beach Maniac.
Hello, thank you.
Yeah.
Excited to be here.
Yeah, let me get you, let me put you up on the top here. There we go. So, first of all, we want to thank you for being our new Tiki Head DJ for an hour, and we've played it a couple of times. It debuted on Friday at 6 o'clock. We played it again yesterday at 1 o'clock. So I'm curious to see what you thought.
I thought it was great. I thought your production of the pretty raw material I gave you was done beautifully, and it came out great. I was very happy with it.
Well, thank you. You did a great job. It's a good playlist, and I'm always, one of the things about this was years ago, I was one of the fruitcakes on the radio on Radio Margaritaville. And I remember how cool that was. And I had all the people from my Parrot Head Club, here in the chocolate bar, and I had people listening. I was like, it's gonna be playing, and I always thought that was cool. So I've tried to recreate that with Tiki Man Radio with the Tiki Head DJ because I know it's a big deal, and I'm always curious to see the playlist, to see what people are listening to, and we always gather a couple of new songs out of it for the station. So good job on your part.
Great. Yeah, and my family was all listening to it, and my daughter took a picture of my granddaughter sitting around listening to the radio, and they really got a kick out of it, and the same with my son and his kids. They really thought it was great to hear the grandpa singing or talking on the radio.
Well, good deal, man. I'm glad you did that. And, we probably do, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 of those a year. And usually around the holidays, I start promoting it, and say, hey, this makes a great gift for somebody uniquely different, that kind of thing. And, instead of buying a gift card or whatever, do something where everybody can enjoy it. And so it has an uptick this time of year. So we're really happy to have you part of it.
And for me, I've always been a big fan of big radio personalities. And it goes back to when I was growing up in Appleton, Wisconsin, at a time when there were not very many radio stations playing pop music.
Right.
And you may know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you do here. I would dial into WLS Chicago, 890 on the AM dial.
Oh,
and from 200 miles away, I was listening to what are now the oldies, of course, the newest music of the time, the Beatles and the Monkees and the Rolling Stones and Motown. And through the crackling of the AM dial, I could hear the best DJs in the country. And I always remember that. And I was always impressed with it. I actually even remember the names Art Roberts and Larry Lujak.
Oh, there you go.
Those ring a bell with you.
Yeah.
And of course, later I would listen to nationally syndicated powerhouse DJs like Wolfman Jack.
Yeah.
Casey Kasem, of course, in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And so just being able to, I wouldn't say it was not always my dream to be a DJ, but it was always a cool thing to think that maybe someday I could do that. And to hear myself on Tiki Man Radio Friday night, it really was a special experience for me and something I've never done before.
That's super cool, man. And, when I was a kid, we lived just through the woods from a radio station called WFLI, Jet Fly in the Sky. They used to have like the light, in the sky and all that stuff. And it was an AM radio station, rock and roll radio station. And we would walk over there, and they would give us 45s. They'd have like a box of 45s that they either had an abundance of, or they played it and didn't like it, and we didn't care. They just gave it to us kids, and then we'd go home and pretend like we were DJs, and record it on little cassette players and stuff like that. It was super cool. So I get it. I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah, and a lot of those stations, I think I used to listen to some station. There was a station out in Nashville I used to listen to too. But I also listened to a lot of news stations because I was just into that. I was an editor of our high school paper, and I was into news and journalism. And I could get the AM stations out of New York City sometimes, which was pretty amazing. I think they called them clear channel stations.
Yep.
And at night, they did something with the technology so that these particular stations
Yeah.
that broadcast for hundreds of miles.
It was a sheer.
Hold on a minute. Hold on a second. Go ahead.
Just to let you know, I'm Flaz, and it was sheer amounts of power because the ionosphere would move up into the stratosphere, or the ionosphere would move up in away from the Earth, and the bounce of the actual signal coming from the transmitter would go further away. I used to listen to Mighty 690 out of Tijuana in Nebraska.
Wow.
Just because of that same phenomenon. And guess who was on Mighty 690? Wolfman Jack.
Wolfman Jack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do they still have that? Can I still listen to AM stations from hundreds of miles away?
Actually, in Mexico, they're allowed 100,000 watts, whereas the FCC in the United States only allows 50,000 watts. And that's the reason why that as a kid, I used to be able to listen to Mighty 690 out of Tijuana.
I'll tell you what you can do. There is a cool app that we are on.
Yeah, right.
That's called
I got it.
Radio Garden.
Right.
And you can download Radio Garden, and Tiki Man Radio is on there as well. But it pulls up the whole Earth, and it has dots on it in different countries and stuff. And all you do is click on the dot, and it takes you right to that radio station.
Yeah, that's cool.
But you don't get the static.
You don't get the
No.
static. No, you don't get the static. We've moved past the static, but yeah, that's true. Yeah.
The old crackles and pops, and it's gone.
I could probably recreate that for you, though. You know, I could probably record one of them and put in a little static in there. You know, that way. You know, every once in a while, just turning the dial.
You should do that on Saturday mornings.
Oh yeah,
Make
yeah,
it sound like it's an
absolutely.
And
AM
here's
show.
sometimes, you play Paul Harvey,
Yeah,
and sometimes those old clips sound a little staticky.
that's true.
They
You know,
they're very genuine.
that's one of our popular shows, Jukebox Saturday. You know, and a guy reached out to me about 5 or 6 years ago and says, I really enjoy your Jukebox Saturday, but you need some Paul Harvey in there. And I happen to have every recorded version of Paul Harvey that I want to send you. And he did. He sent me the entire library, broken down by alphabet.
Nice.
And I got this, and he sent it to me in the mail, and I loaded it in the computer, and I'm like, damn, that's a lot of space. And, so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do the T's to this month, and I'm going to do the S's this month or whatever.
I learned something about my own state from Paul Harvey.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. What's that?
That Ohio wasn't a state for a long, long time.
I didn't even know it was still there.
They
Is it
thought they
still
were
there?
a state, but they were never a state. They didn't come like a state until like 1953.
Really? You learned
Yeah.
that from Paul Harvey?
I did.
Wow. See, there you go. We're learning things. That's
was
awesome.
it a territory?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. But anyway, so now let's talk about the Beach Maniac. Now, I get the idea that this has a lot to do with you and your son, right?
Yeah. Well, I started Beach Maniac about, I guess, a little over 10 years ago. I started the website beachmaniac.com. My background is in journalism and mass communications. I was a newspaper reporter and editor, and then I transitioned to websites and social media.
Yeah.
And I was feeling about 10 years ago a little bogged down at work, and I was looking for a creative outlet. So I kind of followed my heart, and I've always loved the beach, and I've been interested in the internet and social media, and I wanted to combine those into something that would really keep me interested and creative. So I love beach vacations, upbeat beach music. So I created beachmaniac.com, which I envisioned as a hub for beach lovers, information on beaches, forums, travel information, and music. It's a continuous work in progress.
Yeah.
And it's gone through some different iterations, but it's something I enjoy, and it's kind of a hobby for me. And it just, on the cold winter's day, it keeps me warm.
Well, that sounds like me 10 years ago, getting Tiki Man Radio. At the time, it was Tiki Island Radio, and then we created Tiki Man Radio. But 10 years ago was probably the same reason. When I couldn't be in Key West, or if I couldn't be in this island or whatever, I wanted to create that, and it really came out of the the Tiki Bar out here that's been around for about 20 years, and we'd always back in the day play. We'd burn our own CDs, and it'd just be a continuous amount of music that people loved, and that's how the radio station was formed. But it's really the same theory of what you're talking about. Kind of bored with things and needed to be a little creative, and that's how it all launched. So it was about the same time you did the Beach Maniac.
Yeah, yeah. And then it evolved, and we ended up actually writing a song. So as I mentioned in my broadcast, my son and I, this was before he had kids of his own, and he had more time to travel. We used to take an annual trip down to Fort Myers Beach, and we called it our deer hunting week because my friends and their sons they had a bonding experience where they would go deer hunting every fall. In fact, this is deer hunting weekend right
Sure.
now in Wisconsin. And they would, as I mentioned, they would sit go up north where it was very cold, and they would sit in a shack, and they would sit in they'd have their guns, and they'd be all bundled up, and they'd be shivering, and that just wasn't something we wanted to do. So instead, we hopped on airplanes and we flew down to Fort Myers Beach, where it was nice and warm for a week. And one year on the way down, it was about a 3-hour flight from Milwaukee to Fort Myers Beach. We were a little bored on the flight, and Ryan says to me, "We should write a song." And I'm like, "I don't know anything about writing a song. We're not musicians."
Right.
But what could possibly go wrong, right? So I grab a napkin and write down the words Beach Maniac, and we think, what rhymes with maniac? And we couldn't really come up with anything, so we had to make up our own words. We made up Insaniac, Real Zaniac, No Brainiac, and then we put the song together. We told a story about a guy who was shoveling snow in the cold northern blow, and he saw a plane flying overhead, and he imagined himself flying up into the sky and grabbing a ride in the sky to paradise. And then he realized he was a beach maniac, and he never wanted to come back home.
It's a great story, and you put together a good video. And what I want to do now is I'm going to put you back in the green room, and we're going to play the video that you guys put together with the song that you guys wrote, and then we'll come back and talk a little bit more about that.
Great. Thanks.
All right. Bill Hurley, the Beach Maniac, as he calls himself, our newest Tiki Head DJ for an hour. And this one right here is the video of the song that he's talking about. Here we go.
Shoveling snow in the cold northern blow when it all became so clear to me that my life wasn't right. It was cloudy and tried, and I needed some new scenery. The skies opened up, a jet flying by on its way to a bright warmer place. In my head I rose high, grabbed a ride in the sky, and landed in paradise space. Now I'm a beach maniac, insaniac, soaking up the sand in the sun. I'm a beach maniac, no brainiac, worries disappear with the rum. I'm a beach maniac, real zaniac, you can keep my iPad and phone. I'm a beach maniac, burned front to back, don't care if I ever go home. My whole life is new, the work world is through, traded suit ties for sandals and caps. Ever go back to a world dressed in black, staying here in a life filled with naps. So don't call me back home to that cold frosty dome, just send money and throw me a kiss. 'Cause My heart is at ease with this tropical breeze. I'm homeless but living in bliss. 'Cause I'm a beach maniac, insaniac, soaking up the sand in the sun. I'm a beach maniac, no brainiac, worries disappear with the rum. I'm a beach maniac, real zaniac, you can keep my iPad and phone. I'm a beach maniac, burned front to back, don't care if I ever go home. Don't care if I ever go home. Don't care if I ever go home.
There we go. All right.
Nice.
Theirs is available on iTunes, Amazon.com, CD Baby. There we go. All right, let's go back over here to the, see if we can get him back in here. There you go. Well, good job on that video, man. It turned out really well.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had fun with it. My son, my wife Diane, and my son Ryan, and my daughter Kristen are all featured in that.
That's very cool.
Video. From those are basically vacation pictures that we strung together.
That's awesome, man.
What I found what was really interesting is when we, like I say, we're not musicians, so we had kind of hummed the song out and written down the words, and we can't sing worth a darn. So we were like, how could we possibly get this thing recorded? And then I go online, and I didn't realize it until I did a little research that there are places that you can, studios you can send just really raw material to, and they will take it and they will produce it. They'll turn it over to a band and professional singers, and they'll actually put a song together for you. And when I finally heard the final product, I was like, I can't believe this song. So it turned out so well. We were really pleased with it.
Well, you know how it goes. Now you got to write another song, and then you got to go on tour, and then it becomes work. You know.
That'll never happen for me.
Well, how did you come across Tiki Man Radio?
Well, you know, I've always listened to different types of music over the years. And I would say in the 80s and 90s, I was really into country music. And then as we got around 2000, I felt like country music just wasn't appealing to me as much. It was changing.
Yeah.
And I started to listen to different types of music. I tried to bring different types of music into my sphere. And I found, I mean, I don't think there was a lot of trop rock back then. But I was listening to a lot of oldies basically. And eventually, as much as I love the oldies, I got a little tired of them. So I was looking for new music, and I discovered Tiki Man Radio. I discovered TuneIn Radio, which is where I discovered Tiki Man a while ago, and other trop rock stations.
Sure.
So I've been listening to them pretty regularly, and Tiki Man Radio, of course, has become my favorite.
Well, thank you. Yeah, see, that's what we were waiting on right there. There we go.
Yeah. And you have such an incredible variety of music. It's not just trop rock, but so many different genres. And I think I heard you say recently that you have 10,000 songs at the station.
Well, it's really, we call it coastal Americana, but it's almost like you could call it genre free. Meaning that we try to focus on happy music. We try to focus on, something we stay away from politics or anything like that. But it's got a sun in it, a moon, a cloud, a beach or something, But then again, we play a lot of blues, some jazz. We play a little bit of everything. So it's kind of like genre free, really.
Yeah. Multi-genre.
Yeah, multi-genre. Yeah.
There you go.
But it still is Tiki Man Radio.
That's right. That's right. That's it. Yeah, man. Well, man, we can't thank you enough. I'm glad that you guys are enjoying the Tiki Head DJ for an hour. We got 2 more replays coming up. I don't know if I got the dates. Do you have the dates by any chance? Let's see here.
I think it was Tuesday and Friday.
Tuesday and Friday. Let's see here. Let me go over here because I've got the. Let me see here. There they are. Let's see here. We've got replay November the 26th at 7 p.m. And then the final replay will be November the 29th at noon. And we've also got you, we're going to put this together on YouTube as well. It's already out there. I just got to make it public. And so the whole thing will be out there as well, and the whole playlist. And then we'll load it up on SoundCloud, and it'll be out there for everybody to share and play and have a good time with.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you very much for giving me that opportunity. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun with it, and I highly recommend it to other people.
Hey, well, there you go. Well, keep listening to Tiki Man Radio, and we appreciate you being a good friend of Tiki Man Radio, and I'm glad that, I've got a message here from Callie McCool out in California, who was it's in his contract. I have to say he was the very first Tiki Head DJ. So, yeah. I don't want to get the attorneys involved or anything, but it is in his contract, so I have to mention that. So, there we go. But say hi to your family, and I hope you guys have a fantastic holiday season, and we thank you for being part of Tiki Man Radio.
Okay. Thank you again, Danny.
All right. Thank you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Yep. Bye.
All right.